So, how is everybody? I am good. I am good. So I've got one more lecture today. On Thursday of this week, we're going to have a guest speaker. He's not one of the ones that was in your list. He's a special guest speaker to talk about capital investment. And then next week we'll have two other guest speakers that are on your list. I believe next week it's going to be Bill Jeffries and then Michelle Augustine Williamson. So the last lecture to go through today is on executive summary and sales plan. This is a good deal more than was in your assignment. So, the assignment that I gave you for your actual group projects is the overview section of the strategic plan, or of the executive summary. So the overview section, like I've explained to most of the groups, but I'll explain again here, is about 2 sentences to summarize each of your 6 key deliverables. So 4 to 6 sentences are okay for the competition market environment analysis and the implementation sales plan. You can have a little bit more there, but basically I want 2 to 4 sentences on each of these areas that are in the template. So if we open up this template, I want two sentences about what the product is, 2 sentences about who the customer is, 2 sentences about what your marketing plan is, 4 sentences about what the competition and the market environment are, 2 sentences about what your financials are, and 2 sentences about your implementation plan. Okay? That's the overview of the executive summary. For the financials section, there's a formula that I want you guys to know and be able to calculate for your business. It's called the compound annual growth rate, and the formula is basically ending value of shareholder equity. So that's the final tab in your spreadsheet, shareholder equity. The ending value divided by the beginning value raised to the 1 over the number of years. So you've got 5 years in your financial projection spreadsheet. So you'll take the year 5 shareholder equity number divided by the year 1 shareholder equity number, raise that to 1/5, 1 over the number of years, which is 5, and then subtract all of that from the number 1. And that'll give you your compound annual growth rate for the venture. Okay? So that's your basic executive summary. There are some other elements that go into a more complete executive summary, so I haven't asked you to do these for your deliverable in class, but I'm going to go over them in my lecture as a more complete version of the executive summary. So executive summaries often include mission, vision, and goal statements. So the important differentiation in mission versus vision versus goal statements. The mission statement should encapsulate the purpose of the business, detail broad actions related to that purpose, and stimulate more specific vision and goals. So it's a very broad statement. The vision statement should provide a tangible objective for the future, be realistic, credible, actionable, and attractive. So the vision statement is a little bit more focused than the mission statement, but still is an overarching statement about the business overall. And then finally, goals should be specific, include timeframes, and facilitate accountability. So you want your goals to have specific numbers attached to them, like we are going to achieve $100,000 in revenues by the end of year 2 of operations. So it's got to have a deadline, and it's got to have a dollar amount to it. You want your goals to be very specific in that regard. And often the mission vision goals come on like page 2 of the executive summary. I just had you do 1 page, but a lot of times you'll have that on page 2 of the executive summary. Exit and harvest options. Another element of many executive summaries is what your exit options are and what your harvest options are. And this is basically about consolidating your winnings. So you've been working on a project, a new venture project in this class for the semester. When the semester ends, everybody here goes back to real life. You're not in the class anymore. You're not necessarily working on the project anymore. But you want to be able to keep the venture going for the future after you're done with the class. So you want to pull all of the business plan elements together into concrete capabilities and alpha and beta projects. So concrete capabilities are something you can actually do. So like for the German fast food truck, maybe the whole list of tour locations is too much, but you could do 1 afternoon of German fast food in 1 particular location. So start with something specific. For the beer delivery service, maybe being available every day is not realistic, but 1 day a week with a small group of people that you've developed as your customer base is something realistic to do, et cetera, et cetera. So you want to take the business plan elements and create some kind of concrete capability that you're able to do, and then turn that into a project that you do as a hobby in your spare time after this class. Capabilities in beta projects that you can manage versus capabilities in beta projects that other people can buy. I'm going to talk about that in a second. That's the difference between an exit option and a harvest option. And final thing is you want to get your materials out there and network with people. So having your executive summary out there in circulation with potential investors is with potential partners, with potential employees is important to continue building the business. So first of all, about back to real life, you've got other classes, you've got other homework, you've got other priorities in your life. Could be friends, could be family, could be personal projects. When it comes to your professional life, it could be getting ahead with your career, or it could be working on your business. Everybody in here has to find a job at some point. Some of you already have a job, some of you need to find a job after graduation to actually be able to pay your bills and manage your finances. The key is if you really want to go forward with your project from this class, if you really want to go forward with starting a new business, your job needs to be 40 hours a week or less, preferably less. And then that's those 40 hours or 35 hours, however many 30 hours you're able to get away with working to pay your basic baseline bills. That's your salary. That's your baseline income. Any other hours above and beyond those 40 or 30 or 35 hours you should spend on your other priorities in life. So the key message here about going back to real life is that we all get busy doing things. And if you really want to make a new venture happen, you can't be busy with more than 40 hours a week in your job. You're going to need your extra time to work on the business. But in general, it's advice that I would give you anyway about your life. Life is short, and spending time with friends, spending time with your family, working on other projects that you just like because they're your hobbies, are all important things to do, not just work. We in America tend to work too hard and play too little. And I highly encourage you not to work more than 40 hours a week unless you're really, really in love with your job. There's too many other important things in life that you should be spending your time on as well. One of which could be, if you're interested, your project from this class. Concrete capabilities in alpha or beta projects. The three main foci that we talked about at the beginning of the course. The product service development, so your website and the concrete product or service that comes out of that is your overall vehicle for delivering value as a new business. The customer development work you did is going to bubble up your alpha or beta projects. So one of the customers that you reached out to for your vignettes is probably going to be the one that you start doing a project for as your initial alpha project, your initial beta project. And then your expert advisor that you talk to is going to help you turn the product service into a concrete capability. Bless you.
Thank you.
So that's the big picture of this class distilled down into where it goes to after the class is over. We didn't talk too much about product service vignettes in this class, but product service vignettes are a particular product or service that you're going to focus on for your marketing plan. And following through with that particular product or service is also going to be key for developing your alpha and beta projects. Eventually, you want to develop capabilities which you can have on the shelf, ready to be managed by you or by someone else. So, if I go back to the beauty bar, for example, maybe the first thing that you do is just a beauty bar night that you would host at someone's house, which has beauty services and drinks provided, and maybe do it once a month. And if that works, then expand it to more times a month, and if that works, then eventually find a place to host find a retail storefront for yourself. But you want to develop some capability that you can repeat, even though you have the rest of your life to deal with. And start with one-off projects with no promises or expectations for the future. So I recommend that the first, like the beauty bar again, try just doing one beauty and drinks night where you have various customers come over. You've got beauty service providers. You've got somebody to mix drinks. Try it once and see how it goes. No promises about whether you're going to do it once a month or twice a month or whatever. Try it once. If it goes well, then do it again. And you can start developing a rhythm of doing it regularly after that. But start with one-off projects, and don't overpromise for the future. Just start off with one project, try to do it well, and build from there. Things you manage versus things you sell. As you move forward in polishing your business plans, developing concrete capabilities, and doing alpha and beta projects, you will find that some capabilities and projects interest other people more than others. So the difference between an exit option and a harvest option, or an exit strategy and a harvest option, is whether you can get somebody else interested in it or not. A harvest option is a capability or project that doesn't interest other people that you're going to manage yourself. So that's called a harvest option, or a hobby, something you do in your spare time. And just because it's a hobby doesn't necessarily mean that it doesn't generate cash. I have a friend of mine, for example, back in the Midwest, who he started an ATM cleaning business. So he actually cleans and refurbishes ATM machines. And he's always had a day job ever since he's had this company. Well, actually, I take that back. He started the company and tried to do it full time, and it didn't work full time, so he went back to having a full-time job, but he still manages his ATM cleaning business. And once a month he'll get in his car and tour all around the state of Indiana and clean a bunch of ATM machines, and he'll get paid for that. So it's not a business that pays his salary, but it basically provides extra income for him and his wife to be able to take vacations, buy more stuff for their son. It's a hobby project, but it still makes money. So just because you're doing something as a hobby doesn't mean that it's not going to earn you money. And then finally, capabilities and projects that interest other people. If you describe your project to somebody, you describe your business to somebody, and you're finding that people are interested in being a part of it, that's something that you can quote-unquote sell. It's called an exit strategy. And the idea with an exit strategy is eventually you are no longer the one that's doing the managing of the business. That you hire somebody to come in and manage the business, or you sell the business to somebody else and they own it and manage it. But that situation, being able to exit from the business and exit from the business successfully, first of all, doesn't necessarily involve the exchange of cash. So, yeah, I say that you're selling your capabilities, but it may be that the company that's interested in seeing you succeed gives you in-kind resources in exchange for taking over your business capabilities. There could be a lot of different constellations besides the transfer of cash when you hire somebody else or sell your business's activities to someone else to manage. But the key here is whether other people are interested or not. If other people don't seem to be interested, it's going to end up being a harvest option and a hobby for yourself. If other people are interested, it's going to end up being an exit strategy eventually, and you need to think about someone else rather than yourself managing the business in the future. Selling. I've got a very brief overview of selling here. I've talked a little bit about these same concepts at the beginning of the year when I talked about networking and your career plans. But again, there's nearly 7 billion, probably over the 7 billion people on the planet at this point. And there's always customers out there somewhere who want whatever it is that you're offering. Weathering the process of finding them is what kills the vast majority of salespeople. So it's no matter what your business is, no matter what your product is that you're offering to the marketplace, there's customers out there that want it. The challenge is just finding them and staying upbeat, staying positive about things while you're trying to find those customers. You need to recognize and accept that you'll probably need to touch or contact in some way 10 or 20 or 50 prospects for every lead that you generate. So the sobering reality of getting your businesses up and running is that you're going to have to talk to a hell of a lot of people in order to find customers. It's not just one or two conversations. It's going to be dozens and dozens and dozens, or hundreds of emails sent, hundreds of phone calls made to identify customers. It's not just a handful of contact points. You want to leverage social media and networking. Orbis is a database which University of Cincinnati used to have. I haven't updated that for this. You can get it at a public library too, though. It's a really nice database for finding information on private companies. Census and demographic information, the Walter Stern Library. There's a lot of places you can go to get publicly available information on leads that you're reaching out to. So when you talk to a certain business, you don't need to ask how many employees they have or what their revenues are. You can find those things out without having to ask, so that when you do get the chance to actually talk with somebody from a target customer, you're asking things that you otherwise don't have access to knowing. So whenever possible, leverage publicly available information. Document everything. There's no pieces of information that you can glean from a touch which is too insignificant. That includes the fact that you left a voicemail. Maybe their voicemail said that they were out of town for a week. Maybe the name of the assistant that picked up the phone when you called was Ann. Any of that information is important to document. Don't overlook any piece of information that you might glean along the path of looking for sales leads. And then finally, don't take rejection personally. It's just part of the process. So if you're going to make a new business succeed, you're going to hear no a lot. It's just part of the process, and you shouldn't get discouraged just because a lot of people say no. Eventually, people will say yes. You just have to be patient. There's a couple specific points about person-to-person selling, which is relevant for some of your businesses more than others, but for every one of the businesses in here, when you're looking for investors for the business, it's a personal selling activity. So anybody in here, when you're looking for investors or partners for your business, these points here about selling are going to be useful for you. Basically, leads become prospects, or people that you initially talk to that you don't know whether they're interested or not, eventually become contacts who are in some way interested or becoming interested. The way that you go from stranger to interested customer is by talking with people about details of their situations that relate to problems that you can solve. So the idea here is to get people talking. The art of sales is all about initiating a conversation and directing that conversation to uncover the needs and wants of the person that you're talking to. So there's a particular type of sales methodology called spin selling that I'm a big proponent of. There's two books about this. One's called Spin Selling, the other one's called Major Account Sales Strategy. And it basically involves stages of the decision-making process by customers. So the first stage of the decision-making process is recognizing that you have a need. So when you're starting to talk with people, they don't necessarily think that they need something. Your conversation that you have with them is designed to help them identify that they actually need what it is that you offer. So you do that by asking 4 different types of questions. Situation questions, which are, like they sound, about the situation that the individual, the customer, the business is facing. Once you've identified the systems that they use and the current way that they achieve their goals, you ask questions that identify a problem. Once you've asked questions that identify a problem, you ask questions that solicit the implications of that problem. What is this problem costing you in terms of money? What is this opportunity worth, potentially, if you're able to pursue it? You're asking about the implications of a certain problem. And then finally, once you've made those implications concrete, you want to ask questions about needs payoff. So you're going to ask questions like, if you were to solve this problem, it sounds like it would be worth $10,000 a year to your business. Do you see it that way? You're helping. You're attaching numbers to the implications questions that you just asked, and repeating them back to the customer or the contact in the context of what the payoff for doing something about their problem is. Once you've gone through those questions, a customer or a contact gets to the evaluation of options phase, which basically means they've decided that they need something. They haven't decided yet whether they're going to buy your product or somebody else's product. So, if we talk about this in terms of fundraising for your business, recognition of needs here is getting people, whether it's friends or family or angel investors, getting people with money, first of all, to recognize that there's an opportunity for them to invest in your business. So you're asking them situation, problem, implications, need payoff questions about their investing activities and how that might be able to be positively impacted by investing in your business. So once you've gotten them to the point where they recognize, yeah, I'm going to make a new investment. They could invest in your company. They could invest in somebody else's company. So the next step is understanding what the criteria are along which they're evaluating their decision, and making sure that your company, your product is presented in a positive light with regard to the criteria they're using for a decision. And then finally, you'll get to a point where they like your company or your option the best, but they they haven't actually given the money over yet, and at that point, it's time to resolve concerns that they might have. So you want to ask questions about what remaining concerns, what remaining questions people have in order to be able to close the deal. You want to manage prospects in each stage of this process, kind of like a funnel. So there's going to be a ratio of about 5 to 10 prospects for each successive stage. So if you want to have 5 people that are considering, no, 10. If you want to have 10 people considering investing in your business, you're going to need 50 to 100 people that are thinking about making an investment in some business. And you're going to need 500 to 1,000 people that you've talked to that have money to invest. So it's a numbers game. You can't be satisfied with just 5 or 10 contacts. You need to contact a lot of people in order to be successful in selling anything. In the case of this class, selling the concept of your business to investors. Some useful references along this line. I've listed 3 books here that are really, really great books on selling. The first 2 by a guy named Neil Rackham, Spin Selling and Major Account Sales Strategy, like I mentioned, are kind of the Bible of major account selling. And then there's a really good book called Let's Get Real or Let's Not Play by a guy named Mahan Khalsa that's very good at getting down to brass tacks quickly in your conversation with customers. So it's all about approaching customer conversations as a problem solver and coming in and saying, look, I do if we put in the context of selling your businesses to investors, look, I have a business which is going to be going to provide a service to the community, is going to make money. Now, whether that fits with your investment strategy or not is something that we need to identify. But my goal here is to find you an investment that's going to make you money. And if we're both not shooting for something of value to the other person, then let's not waste our time talking. There's a lot of time spent in sales, in babbling and small talk and trying to get people to not slam the door in your face or not say, go away. And the nice thing about this Let's Get Real or Let's Not Play book is that it very quickly gets down to, look, I don't want to waste your time and I don't want you to waste my time. Here's what I have of value to offer. I think it can be valuable to you. Let's talk about how I can be valuable to you. So really, really good book for that angle on the sales process. For tracking leads, tracking information on customers that you reach out to and talk to, tracking information on potential investors for your company. I've listed a couple of CRM or customer relationship management systems. Salesforce.com has kind of become the industry standard. You can start for as little as $5 a month using Salesforce.com, and it gives you a nice database to organize all of your sales contact information in. NetSuite and MyDials are a couple of other ones that are good. And in addition to that, you can use Access, Excel, or the contacts folder in Microsoft Outlook to get started as well. You don't have to buy a sales management software, but as you grow, it's probably as you grow, it's going to be much easier to manage your sales contacts if you have a sales contact management software like Salesforce.com, rather than continuing to keep track of leads in an Excel spreadsheet or an Access database. Capital acquisition plan. So once you're done with this class, if you want to continue to try and create the business that you've been working on plans for in this class, there's a couple different sources of cash that are available that you could go for. And on Thursday of this week, we're going to have the speaker that I'm having coming in is an expert in how to get funding for new businesses. So that's why I wanted him to come in and talk in particular this week, because the topic of the lecture is getting investment money for your businesses. So there's a couple of main sources of capital for any new business startup. One is credit card debt and lines of credit. A lot of times people will finance a new business by running up charges on a credit card or getting a line of credit with the bank and taking out credit on that line of credit to buy things and pay for things that you need for the business. The only thing you need to be able to have access to that is a relatively good personal credit rating. So that's the first source of cash for most businesses is using a credit card or line of credit. Once you're up and running as a business, bank debt becomes an option. There's three things that you really need in order to be able to pursue bank debt. One, you need assets of some kind of the business, so inventory, computers that you've bought, real estate that you own, automobiles or like the truck for the food, the German fast food truck, the truck itself. Any assets that you have, the bank is going to want to see assets that they can use as collateral for the loan. They're going to want to see financial statements of the business. So one of the hard things about being a new business is that you don't have any financial statements yet. You haven't actually started operations. So once you've been in business for a year or two, you're going to have financial statements saying, here's how much my costs were, here's how much my revenues were, here's how much the profit was. Once you can produce financial statements like that, then you can use those to apply for bank debt. And then finally, a lot of banks are going to ask you to have a business plan, which you've already moved a good step towards creating over the course of this class with all the deliverables that I had you working on. The final source of capital for new businesses is equity investors. And there's three different kinds of equity investors. Actually, there's more than three. There's 6 kinds of equity investors. So the first kind is just individuals, family and friends, or a lot of times the phrase is friends, family, and fools. It's individual people, usually who have personal savings of at least $10,000 liquid. So if you've got $10,000 sitting in a money market account or in a savings account somewhere, that is not earmarked for any particular cost or expense, that is the kind of person that you want to target for being an investor in your company. The higher the personal savings they have, the less risky it is for them to peel off a couple grand to invest in your business. So $10,000 is kind of the baseline. People that have $50,000 liquid is even better. People that have $100,000 liquid is even better than 50. because it's less risky for them to peel off a few $1,000s and invest in your business compared to the total amount of money that they have. They should get some kind of personal enjoyment or satisfaction out of your business. So most of the time, being your friend or being your family member, loving you is not enough to have a successful investor relationship. The person needs to have some kind of interest in your business for its own sake, whether they enjoy it as a hobby or they have a business that would benefit from your business being successful. They need to have some sort of interest in it besides just being your friend or family member. The next type of equity investor is advice partners. So your expert advice partners that I've had you talk to, these are potential investors as well. Anytime not just for people who have been there and done that with the same kind of business, but people who have been there and done that with supplier businesses or related businesses to your own, have an interest in seeing you succeed. And if they have an interest in seeing you succeed, they can provide resources to you, whether that's in-kind use of office space and computing assets and other resources, or if it's actual capital investment. Expert advice partners are a good source of capital as well. Then there's three types of other equity investors that are also relevant for your capital search. Venture capital, angel investors, and crowdsourcing. So crowdsourcing or crowdfunding, I'll talk about first. It's an emerging micro capital investment market. So there's websites these days like GoFundMe and Indiegogo. What's the third one? Kickstarter. That allow you to put together materials on a website, doing a fundraiser basically for your business, and people can donate money to your business in exchange for various kinds of knickknacks and prizes or products from your business. There's also a new type of equity crowdfunding as well, where people will directly invest in your business for shares of stock, using that same kind of small internet-based community or internet-based social community to fundraise for your business. So that's another option for getting capital is running a crowdfunding campaign through either one of the fundraising based or the equity based websites for crowdfunding. Angel investors are individual people that who have usually 6 figures or more worth of liquid savings, and they usually get together in small groups and invest in new businesses. So angel investors are wealthy individuals who invest in small businesses. There's a number of different angel investing groups around California. The closest one to here is called Tech Coast Angels. It's based out of Los Angeles, but it's the idea is that you present your business, your executive summary, your business plan materials to these angel investors, and depending on what kind of investment opportunity they're looking for, how well they evaluate your business, they could invest in your business in amounts from probably 50 grand to 500 grand. That's kind of the range of normal equity investments by angel investors. And then you've got venture capital funds, which basically are companies that have gone out and solicited investments from businesses, from individuals. They put together a big pool of money, like let's say $100 million. And they then go and look for business to invest in to use that $100 million. So similar to the angel investors, they would look at your executive summary, they'd look at your business plan. If the business fits the type of business they're looking for, if it fits, if they see it as a potentially successful business, then it's possible that you could get anywhere from 1 to 10 million or more from a venture capital fund in exchange for equity stake in your company. It's important to realize or remember that venture capital and angel investment almost never happens, especially for lifestyle businesses. So most of the businesses in here, it's very hard to get angel investment money for. Angel investors tend to focus on high-tech and biotech firms. So like a youth sports organization, or a beauty bar, or a bakery, or a German fast food truck, a beer delivery service, or a drive-through liquor store, or a drive-through convenience store. Not normally the types of businesses that venture capitalists and angel investors are looking for. But you should keep your materials in circulation, because you can't win if you don't play. If you keep your executive summary out there, if you keep your website out there, if you keep brochures about your business out there, if you keep your business plan out there in circulation, then sooner or later you may get some interest from angel investors or venture capitalists. But be realistic. Usually, it almost never happens that right off the bat you come up with a new business idea and you get funding from an angel or a venture capital firm. Usually takes a lot of luck and a lot of time. Finally, circulating your materials and networking. Websites, brochures, elevator pitches, and business plans. Each of those is important for getting out there and networking with potential investors. So for social media, websites, and networking emails, your website, that's why I'm having you build a website, so you can include a link to that website in messages that you send to people on social media, in emails that you send to people. It gives you an easy way to show people the basics of your business. For networking events, brochures are a big plus for networking for your business. So a 1 or 2 page brochure that talks about the product and the opportunity of your business a little bit is a good thing to have for networking events. In some ways, a sort of, it's your executive summary with some more pretty graphics to make it look visually more appealing. But if you have your executive summary available in brochure format to hand out to people, that helps a lot at networking events. Casual meetings, so one-on-one conversations with people, with potential investors. That's where your elevator pitch comes in. So your 30-second spiel about here's my business, here's what the customers look like, here's how much money we could make, here's why it's a great idea for you to invest in 30 seconds or less. That elevator pitch is critical for casual meetings and face-to-face conversations with people. And then finally follow up with interested contacts, people that are really interested in your business. They're going to want to see the entire business plan, so that's why I'm having you generate all these deliverables right now. Those deliverables together represent your business plan, and once you've found somebody that's interested in the business, they're going to want to see more detail. They're going to want to see the whole business plan. But usually, to get people interested to begin with, it's the website, the brochure, the elevator pitch that hooks the initial interest, and then after you've developed initial interest, you send people your business plan after that. These last 3 or 4 slides here are basically illustrations of what the deliverables used to look like. So this is the 2-page version of the executive summary. And I used to have you guys develop a sales plan as well, which basically identifies 10 potential investors and writes a sentence about each as to why they're a target investor and has a target investment amount that you're trying to get from each of them. I didn't have you guys do that for this class, but that's the next step in your capital acquisition plan, is to put together a list of target investors to go out and talk to. So it's a little bit early, but that's basically what I had to say about executive summaries and sales plans. Any questions about that? Okay, well, if there's no questions, that's it for today, and we're going to have a guest speaker specifically about capital investment on Thursday of this week.